What's going on, everyone? I'm just your everyday average Canadian nerd here to react to your everyday average American man, here to learn that sorry in Canada isn't always sorry, and sometimes can mean things like, oh, what the heck are you doing? That was your fault. Or you have some nerve. Or do you really think that? And let's find out what more there is. So this is going to be a 22-minute video of his, and so of course this video will be more than 22 minutes. And if you enjoy this, please make sure to like this video on the way in. It will encourage YouTube to share it with other people, which you can do too. Share it with other people. It will also encourage YouTube to share it with more people. The more people that watch this, the more people might subscribe, which you can do if you have not. And the more subscriptions, the more likely YouTube is to, you guess it, share with more people. So with that out of the way, let's get this picture out of the way and get the video underway.
What's going on, everyone? I'm just an average American here today to react and learn about 5 culture shocks in Canada. Culture shock.
Okay.
Culture shock is interesting. It's really only something you can experience, and you will experience by moving to another nation, living in another country or something.
That's fair, yeah.
I imagine people around the world experience massive culture shock when they come to America, because it's kind of crazy here. But you get used to it. Heck, you might even learn to like it.
Well, I guess that was a misleading image for this video, that it's not in fact about the word sorry. I guess we'll cover that in the future, but is more about big surprises when it comes to being Canadian, living in Canada, and just being here.
But anyway, some things about culture as far as Canada goes, I'd be fascinated to hear about. Because culture shock is pretty interesting. It can be kind of funny. It can be kind of serious. So I'm really interested to hear from this individual his personal experience, I assume, living in Canada and the culture shock he experienced, because it's really about living it. And that's when you really notice the little things where you're like, what the heck?
Suppose.
Where maybe Canadians don't even realize it's so shocking to people.
Yeah.
But someone who's moved there does. So
yes, friendliness with strangers. That's one thing that I notice here in Canada. You can pretty much strike up a conversation with most anyone, and it can go well. You're polite to each other. You say sorry, you say thanks, you say have a nice day. All these things that, in my experience with America, is just not as common.
It's quite fascinating, right? So let's take a look.
In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 things that shocks migrants when they come here to Canada.
Oh, from all over.
Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Bernard, and I make videos about life in Canada as a migrant. So,
Bernard. I wonder where Bernard is from. I don't recognize this accent.
Right.
It's a little hard to pinpoint for me.
And it's slightly French, so it could be anywhere in the former French Empire, as far as I'm guessing. It's a
if
guess.
that's something that interests you, make sure you stick around. When you come to Canada, you'll find yourself surrounded by this new culture every single day. Now,
Yes.
this could be a bad thing or a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some of the stuff about acclimating to a new culture. Some of it is like, oh, I hate this, and some of it's like, oh, this is awesome.
And of course, it depends on the region, because Canada is gigantic, and from one coast to the other, completely different from the middle. And I'm just guessing that this guy is in Toronto based on the buildings, but that is just a guess, because these buildings built in, what, the 70s, were built across Canada as well.
Depends which country you're coming from. Now, for those who don't,
Right, it depends on which country you're coming from.
Yeah.
Such good points. I imagine as an American going to Canada, I would be able to survive.
Yeah.
I make it sound like some kind of
Just a few
crazy
surprises.
death-defying hellscape to survive in. No, it's actually quite nice in Canada.
It's almost the
as I've
same.
seen. But coming from America, I think the culture shock would be there, but not like
Small.
shattering my whole worldview.
Exactly.
Like I wouldn't be able to wrap my head around maple syrup flavored stuff in a little snow.
Right.
Or maybe, after a while, once you drink too much syrup, maybe you get some syrup madness, as they call it. No, I doubt that's what we're talking about here.
Syrup psychosis is what it's called.
But when you come from other parts of the world that aren't like
Maple madness, syrup psychosis. Maple syrup mad psychosis. Yeah.
America or Canada, I'm sure it's even more shocking, like anywhere would be.
No, culture shock refers to a feeling that people experience how they're trying to integrate into a new society. It happens because you've been cut off from familiar things and social network that made you feel at home. So now you know.
Right.
Let's get right to it. Shock number 1, the price of goods and services in Canada.
Okay, so is this going to be how the sticker price never reflects the actual price because of the taxes? Let's find out.
The price of goods in Canada. I'm pausing it because I'm trying to think of, is he about to say he's shocked that the prices are so high, or that the prices are so low?
Yes.
Prices in Canada were similar to America, just kind of normal prices. That's such a bad way to put it, because if you don't live in Canada or America, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I didn't necessarily think Canada had crazy expensive stuff or cheap stuff.
Well, the thing is, because of how the taxes work, we never know if it's going to be crazy expensive or crazy cheap until we pay for it.
I thought it was just kind of similar.
In Canada, the price you see is not actually what you pay.
Yes!
Oh.
I
The
got it.
reported price of goods and services are always net, and they don't include taxes. Sounds weird, right?
Wait. Well, this is like America then, whereas basically everything you buy in America ever does not include sales tax,
Right.
or any other taxes that go along with that. So many things in America are priced to be like $5.99, $199, where they know that the tax is going to bring it up like an extra dollar or dollars. So they always price it like right under a whole number to make it sound super cheap.
It's
Buy
common.
something for $99 because it sounds like so much less than $100, but yet
Turns out to be $127, yeah.
then the tax brings it over $100. But Americans kind of expect that, and Canadians, I imagine, as well, expect the tax. But I could see where this could be pretty shocking.
Especially when it comes to food not being taxed. But some food is taxed because it's not considered food. It's considered a luxury item. So it gets the luxury taxes. And then, of course, there's the environmental taxes, the recycling fees, which vary from province to province, item to item. So you can go to Tim Hortons and buy some food, and you will have no idea what the price tag's going to be at the end because of taxes.
If you come from a place where tax is, included up front? How would that work exactly?
Canada, they have PST and GST. Depends which province you live.
Okay, so just to answer Tyler's question, how does it work when the taxes are included in the price? Well, Amsterdam, great example. Go to the grocery store, find something you want, look at the price tag. That's the price for the thing. End of story.
And
What, are these all types of sales tax?
Correct.
America has sales tax. It can be state tax, local taxes.
Yeah,
There's a lot of taxes.
you're getting there.
At least that's one thing that's true about Earth. There's gonna be taxes.
Canada, they have PST and GST. Depends which province you live.
Okay.
And all this is added at the end of checkout. Oh, by the way, make sure you check the description below because I'm gonna leave all these terms down in the description below. So
Oh, that's good.
This is just like America then, where your tax is added at checkout. And Americans are just used to this. You just assume the total amount you will need is a couple dollars more or a couple cents more. It just depends on how big your purchase is.
Let me give you an example. The display price on this bottle could be $5, but because of the GST and other taxes, the price will escalate to $7.
Yeah.
Wow, would it be that much? From 5 to 7? That would shock me.
Being in Ontario, I like to go with the 15% tax markup. So, what's 15% of 5? And then we add that on. It's not quite 7 and a bit, but it's up there.
Even being, I'm aware of tax. And that would scare me. I'd be like, hey, what's going on here? That's like 35% tax or something, going from 5 to 7?
Maybe there was an environmental tax added in there, a recycling fee. Yeah.
Is that correct?
A 5% GST is applicable to all transactions in Canada with the exemption on basic food. So remember, when you're a newcomer here in Canada, the end price will be higher than what you would expect.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
This is honestly, like I was saying at the beginning, where it's a culture shock that I wouldn't even have thought of.
Right.
Because I am part of a culture that has this. So that's interesting.
When you're doing your budget planning, be sure to ask a final quoted price that includes taxes and all applicable fees to avoid unpleasant surprise.
The extra fees.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to include a link below about taxes in Canada, so make sure to check it out.
If you need it,
taxes probably
good
work
one.
Slightly different in Canada. I don't know if I'm getting the whole picture here, but there's obviously mostly similarities between sales tax and its existence.
Shock number 2, the weather.
The weather. The weather. It's cold.
Yeah.
I watched another video about Canada misconceptions that was telling me it's not always cold. It's just something that people think Canada is always cold, or maybe it depends on the region you're in, you know.
And it depends where you come from. Like, over the past several weeks here in Ontario, it has been very warm. And I've been going out with sandals, a t-shirt, and shorts. And I'm seeing people wearing long pants and sweaters with their hood up. And I'm thinking those people weren't raised in this area. They must be from somewhere where it's much hotter. So the 24-degree weather that we're having, which is really nice summertime weather, they're like, oh, chilly. I get it.
But what I'm curious what he thinks the shock is in regards to weather.
Canadian winter can be very brutal. And
Oh, that's one thing. That the
It's one thing.
winter it's not that just that there is winter. It's that it is extreme. It's cold. Colder than Americans are used to.
And so
they'd
is
be
summer.
Like, oh, yeah.
It's hot. It's extreme.
I'm used to snow. I'm used to winter. No big deal, man. And then they'd go and be like, holy crap. This is extreme winter.
Yeah, I'm guessing Tyler's never had a snotsicle before in his life.
This is Canadian winter.
it can take you months or forever to get used to it. This country can get really cold. And by cold, I don't mean -5 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's nice.
-5 Celsius. What is
Yeah.
that? -5 Celsius.
Well, that depends. Are we talking -5 in the fall, in which case that's jacket weather? Or are we talking -5 in the spring, in which case that's t-shirt weather, right?
Is 23 Fahrenheit. Holy, that's cold. Canada gets colder than that?
Oh, he thinks that's cold. That's so precious.
That's 40 degrees.
What?
Yeah,
-40
-40
Celsius?
and -40 Fahrenheit. They're the same thing.
I'm scared. Oh, that's where it... This is the temperature where Celsius and Fahrenheit are equal. Okay.
Yes, which is brutally cold.
It's been a while since science. -40? Oh my god, I would pass away. I could not survive.
Oh, yeah, he's never been cold the way we see it. -5, that's chilly. I know people who say -5 is the ideal temperature. I know people who've been out in t-shirt and shorts in -5 degree weather. Yeah, -5 isn't that cold. That's just a little nippy.
Look. Snow everywhere.
Yes.
When I came to Canada, I had no idea that this country can get as cold as -40 degrees. So coming
Yeah.
from Africa,
It can get colder.
Didn't know that.
where everything's warm, this was a big shock.
Oh, he's from Africa. And I'm pretty sure it's, in general, a pretty warm or hot climate in Africa. African countries.
It can get cold, but it don't get that cold.
So the culture shock for him going from Africa to Canada is probably even greater than it would be from going from America to Canada. And I'm already scared. So,
When it snows in
sweet
Canada,
summer child.
It snows the entire day, and it can take several months. Take a look.
what?
Canadian news.
Yeah, Americans are very, they're like, snow is so uncommon in America that Americans are just like, think snow is this fun, novel thing. Like, oh, it's snowing out. That's so fun.
Now, that also is a regional thing in America because the northern states, they understand snow a lot better than Texas, for example.
Beautiful. And then we run inside immediately. We're like, okay, we've admired the beauty for a moment, and now it's kind of cold out, so that's enough for this year. Yeah, I think it would be difficult for an American to acclimate to Canadian winter.
News outlets always get so excited when winter weather hits. This week they had multiple snowgasms.
Newfoundland braces for a blizzard, 70 centimeters, as the west coast digs out and the prairies freeze.
Oh,
My
man.
advice to you is
70 centimeters for the Americans is over 2 feet of snow. And to be honest, that doesn't sound like a lot.
always check the weather forecast.
Americans are so bad at driving in the snow, too, because of this. Oh, my God. I
Yep.
just thought of this.
And a lot of Canadians are pretty bad at driving in the snow, especially the first snowfall of the year. It's like everyone needs to remember what it's like driving in the snow. For those who haven't, it means bigger space cushions, more time to arrive, maybe put new tires on your car.
Because there's not much snow in America, and it's pretty short season, if there's any snow at all, Americans have no clue how to drive on it, and it is chaos. It is madness.
Yeah.
Run.
I try to stay home the first snowfall of every year just because of those people who forget what it's like to drive in the snow.
Run for it if
Yeah,
you're in snowy America and people are driving.
Yeah.
Before you head out. Sometimes extreme weather warnings are issued by the government advising you to stay inside. You can
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, advising you to stay inside
Yeah.
because it's too cold?
Yeah.
That's never happened in America, ever.
Wow.
That would be, it'd be like, we've had extreme heat warnings.
We
not
get those
extreme
too.
Cold.
We
Never.
get those.
always check the weather on the radio or TV on your phone. Actually, I will leave the app that I use for my weather forecast in the description below. But I have to admit,
Such a
seeing
good guy.
snowfall is an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's the thing. Especially if you haven't seen it before.
Especially if you're not driving through it.
Probably magical. It's still a pretty magical experience for Americans. That's the fun thing. I think America gets
Yeah.
like the perfect amount of snow, where for 90% of the year it's nothing, then it gets cold, and then maybe in the winter it snows.
My first year here in the Niagara region, I think, was the perfect amount of snow. I didn't need to bring out my shovel. I got to use my broom to clear the snow off my driveway. I have never been that lucky again since.
And it's so uncommon. You're like, this is annoying, but it's fun at the same time.
Shock number 3, camping.
Camping? Camping is
Okay.
a shock? Do Canadians love to camp?
There is so much camping space available. We have camps set up across the country, and 83 roughly percent of Ontario is considered Crown land. And on that land, you're free to go camping up to 21 days before you have to relocate. And that means you can spend the entire summer camping through Ontario without paying for a camping spot. Yes.
Americans like to camp. Somewhat. I don't know what to think about this.
Yo, when you're new here, the idea of camping may sound crazy.
Wait, the idea of camping? Maybe this is just his personal experience, because he comes from an African country. What?
I can imagine that. Like, even if you're in an African country that's very well developed, you're in a town with houses and buildings, you spend most of your time outside. You're like, well, now I've got a nice house. Why would I even want to go outside? Why do people want to spend all their time outside when they could be in their nice house where they have all their things, everything that they like, the TV, the internet? And then you go camping out in Canada's wilderness, and you find out why.
But I wouldn't be, coming from America, I wouldn't think camping is weird. It's not something I do. It's not something Americans do commonly, but we're common enough where no one would really, people would be like, oh, you're going camping. That's cool. That's different. But we wouldn't be like shocked. Like we couldn't wrap our head around it. You know?
Driving and hiking in the middle of nowhere. Can you imagine sleeping in the lightweight tent that could easily fly away?
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
Getting eaten live by mosquitoes and exposing yourself to bears?
Oh, the worst would be the black fly, the little black fly. Oh, always the black fly, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black fly, picking my bones in North Ontario, in North Ontario.
Getting eaten alive by mosquitoes and bears. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the fun.
I'd rather face mosquitoes than the black fly. I'd rather face a bear than a horse fly. I'd rather fight a horse fly than a moose fly.
The threat of death. No one goes camping expecting the threat of death, but a little discomfort is part of it.
Black fly are the worst, though, because they go for all of your holes. All of them!
It's part of the fun.
No internet, no running water, no comfort bed.
I mean, we have our cell phones now, so if there was ever a point in time where no internet was part of the fun, that's gone. Now,
like the black fly will kamikaze dive into your eyeballs.
now you can just whip your phone out. You're in the middle of nowhere camping, supposed to be in touch with nature. Americans desperately need that. And then they can just whip out their cell phone and be back in the modern day.
And while you're stuck trying to get this black fly out of your eye, another one will go in your ear.
In Africa, if you find yourself trapped in the middle of nowhere, you discover that situation as a nightmare. Here, that situation will be camping.
Right.
Wow, this is a much bigger culture shock for him. Because it's just a totally different culture, totally different circumstance. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I've seen movies where black people go for camping and they never come back. But at the end of the day,
Right, it is kind of a trope in movies.
I really enjoyed camping, and this is something that I will keep doing. Shock number 4.
Yeah, is he enjoying camping? Have you given it a try? It's kind of fun when nothing bad happens.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Americans do think Canadians are extremely polite, and that they do say the word sorry or sorry, if I can say it correctly. Sorry. It's a little different pronunciation, accent.
Little.
Canadian accent. I don't think the Canadian accent is all that different from American.
It's very subtle when it's subtle, but it's very strong when it's strong.
But there are words like sorry and about.
What does that even mean? Of
About-
course, subtle is subtle and
that are
strong is
different.
strong. Like, what the heck are you saying,
I
Jeff?
think he's more referring to the fact that Canadians say the word sorry
We do.
more often than other nations.
Like, it can mean excuse me. It can mean pardon me. It can mean what? It can mean you got some nerve.
Possibly.
Canadians say the word sorry a lot.
They say it a lot, okay.
And by a lot, I mean way too much.
Too much. Is there such a thing as being too polite?
Yeah, so it gets to a point where sorry stops meaning I am sorry for whatever, and more like, you're really doing this again?
Come on. Can you be too polite?
So if you don't say sorry, you'll be sorry.
If you don't, okay.
Much as you will expect to hear a lot of sorries here in Canada, don't even feel like they're apologizing to you. Saying sorry isn't always an apology here in Canada.
Right?
Oh, this is a good observation
Sometimes it can mean, are you okay? Or can you say that again?
by him. That, yeah, once you're in the culture long enough, that makes sense. You start to understand saying sorry doesn't necessarily mean this heartfelt apology.
Sometimes it can be like, I'm sorry you got offended, which is not actually a sorry. Sometimes it's like, I'm sorry that you're going through this crazy thought that is projecting something onto me, but that's not a me thing, that's a you thing.
It could just be kind of a filler word, kind of just a pleasantry or a polite thing to say.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has more insight on it.
It's just being polite. Sorry.
He's just
Yeah.
look, he's starting to use it, although it didn't make complete sense in that circumstance. But it sounds so nice, right? Yeah, I could see just throwing it in to be extra polite.
Kind of like saying, deal with it.
Canadians are known to be very nice people and
Yeah.
super friendly.
Yeah.
Shock number 5, your credentials and work history.
Oh.
Credentials and work history.
They mean nothing according to the government. I'm very sorry. I am dealing with a former doctor who is not recognized as a doctor. I still call him doctor.
So this is a culture shock. I don't know what exactly he's going to talk about in terms with this. This sounds like something where you need to be moving to Canada
Yeah,
and seeking employment or citizenship.
that's
to
right.
Understand the culture shock of this.
Resuming your professional career in Canada is likely to be the biggest challenge you will face when you
Yeah.
live here in
Really?
Canada.
Really?
Sorry guys, it was freezing outside.
A culture shock number 3 or what? 2 or what was it?
2 and 3, the cold and the sorry. No, but really, you can have great certification in Pakistan and then move here, and your certification is not counted for anything. So you can be a neurosurgeon coming from India, and you are not considered a doctor until you've passed all the tests here in Canada.
The cold is affecting his video.
That's why I've decided to shoot the rest of this video in my car. So anyways, if you're from Africa, Asia, and some part of Europe, having your credentials recognized here in Canadian marketplace is going to be difficult.
Wow.
So I strongly
I didn't know about this.
suggest that you bring as much documents as possible.
Okay.
If-
Well, I imagine seeking full-time employment in a completely different nation that you're not a citizen of would have a lot of logistics to it in any nation on Earth. So this probably is not just unique to Canada.
If you work in a
Right.
highly specialized field, like medical field, it could literally take you years to
Whoa.
be licensed to practice in.
What?
Yeah.
See, that's a problem. Like a
Well, it's because standards and practices are not the same everywhere, right? So it's unfortunate that a doctor coming from Rwanda might not have the same qualifications as are needed for a doctor in Canada.
logistics problem where if it's taking people who are moving to Canada years to gain a license to practice, that probably means there's a problem with the system.
Canada. We have people who have been lawyers back home, but here they're driving Ubers. Sadly.
What? Yeah, that is sad.
And lawyering, that's a word. Lawying is, of course, a great example because the law does not work the same in every single country.
Actually is really sad that people can't do the profession that they have practiced in their home country quickly. I'm sure that can happen, not just in Canada, though. It's just unfortunate side effect of bad logistics and paperwork taking
That's it,
forever and
logistics,
all that annoying
yeah.
stuff.
Now, here's the good news.
Bureaucracy.
Canada has some bridging programs that can help you gain employment in your field and they're fully funded by the government.
Oh.
Bad news, you have to know English first. And that is what can make some people change career paths completely while they learn a new language.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it very helpful.
Hey,
did.
I
If you did, please
liked
give it
it.
a thumbs up and don't forget to
I will. I did enjoy this a lot. Ben,
Good.
I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Suranayago? Something like that. I enjoyed your video a lot. Definitely deserves a thumbs up. Wow. This was good. And I think the reason this video was so entertaining was because Ben here was from an African country. He was really experiencing extra culture shock.
Now, I wanted to go find that original video, so I looked in Tyler's description. It does not have a link to the original video. I thought that was standard, but I guess it's not, and so I'm very sorry about that, but you will notice that in the description of my video, I do have a link to Tyler's original video.
An American moving to Canada, there's a lot of differences. I've seen a lot of differences, and a lot of the reactions I've gone through already. I've seen all the differences. There's tons.
Not all of them.
I'm an American, and I at least speak the language. There's a lot of similarities and things I can understand very quickly. But coming from where Ben has come from in this video we just watched, that's culture shock. It'd be the equivalent of anyone from Canada in America moving to an African country and seeking employment and trying to rearrange their whole life in another continent. So
absolutely.
That's extreme, which made this video extremely interesting. Because of the things he chose to identify. The climate, the difficulty in reapplying for his work.
Yeah, getting to see the world through different lenses is very important because we don't all see things the same way because of our perspective and where we come from, right?
That Canadians are polite and say sorry. That's such a good culture shock. That's such a good thing to have to say, because that's one of the only things you can point to, that Canadians are so polite. That's a major difference. That's a good sign.
Yes, and what's really good is in the law, it's actually pointed out that the word sorry is not an admission of guilt in Canada like it is in the United States. You do something wrong in the US, you don't say sorry because that is saying I did a wrong. But in Canada, you can say sorry a million times and still say I didn't do anything though, because that can be factually true.
For Canada, right? Yeah, I really enjoyed this. These were very interesting points of view.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you enjoyed this video,
or this one,
give it a like or
do that thing.
And
type your words.
In more videos like this, me
reacting to him, reacting to culture
events,
and things.
Stuff I've never seen.
Stuff I've seen. Oh yeah.
And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. I enjoyed this. I had a nice weekend. I hope you've had a nice weekend and that you enjoyed this even a little bit as much as I did. If you did, please make sure to do all these things like, share, subscribe, comment, watch another one, watch this one again, download, maybe give some comments about how you want to give me money. I don't know, whatever. You do you, I'll do me. I've done me, and that's it for now. I hope you keep being awesome and have a good one. Bye.
Science, spirit, life. Nerd Pumpkin.